Hi, this is Nicole Rivera, and you're listening to the Stop Writing Alone podcast. Hey everyone, Happy New Year, and welcome back to Stop Writing Alone. It's been a little while, and I apologize for going radio silent on you. Hopefully you've been following along on social media, or you've been a subscriber of the Stop Writing Alone email list, so you already know what's been going on here on the home front. COVID hit the entire family after Christmas, and that has led to a very delayed beginning to my new year. Even when I thought last week I was ready to come to the mic, I recorded with my gravelly, not recovered COVID voice. I still wasn't 100%. I couldn't finish with the production of the episode and get it out to you. It's been a bit of a journey. I can't even say that I'm really 100% now. However, another thing that I did last week was that I sat down with my friend Claire Oldham-West, who is a certified counselor and now a hypnotherapist. In the end of last year, Claire asked if I wanted to be a part of what she called a content-free emotional release session. Now, I'm not going to go through all of what that means now because Claire and I discuss it in the episode, but I will say it was transformative. At the end of the episode, Claire is going to discuss the webinar and the course that she has coming up, which is starting next week on January 27th is the webinar. The course is going to be in February. The links for everything are in the show notes. But before we get started, I wanted to address a potential question in the room. Nicole, why do you have a hypnotherapist on a writing podcast? I'm glad you asked. This year, I've been working on the Stop Writing Alone book. There's lots going on in that book, but there is an entire section on self-care. And for me, there is a 3-pillar approach to self-care: physical self-care, emotional self-care, and, of course, creative self-care. This week, I'm introducing Claire Oldham-West to you because Claire is a part of my emotional self-care right now. And it's something that I feel that has been working for me. So I need to share it. I feel like this past couple of years have been incredibly heavy, and that all of the tools in my tool chest of self-care just weren't up to the challenge anymore. And I needed something new, something different. And so when Claire told me about her content-free emotional release, I was like, this I gotta try. And I did. And now you're going to get to hear what that's all about. There's even a little snippet of Claire putting me under hypnosis. It's around the 18, 19 minute mark. So if you're driving, I would say fast forward over that. But otherwise, I cannot wait to share with you all of this weird, wonderful goodness that has been happening to me through this therapy, and to share my good friend Claire Oldham-West with you. Finally, one of the Voxer Vixens, if you know that name, or the Stop Dreaming Alone crew. Here we go, me and Claire and you learning all about emotional release hypnotherapy. Enjoy. So, hey, everybody, I'm here today with Claire Oldham-West, a friend of mine for years now. We got together pre Stop Writing Alone before one. Well, I shouldn't say pre. It was like when Stop Writing Alone was an infinite of an idea. And I said, what can I do on a podcast? Claire and I met in Kathy Heller's podcast course. So she's been by my side through it all on this entire journey, trying to help me out on how to do this. And it's been back and forth because she'll tell you what she's been creating and doing along the way. But more recently, and the reason that Claire is here today on the Stop Writing Alone podcast is because through the last couple of years have been kind of intense. And I've become more obsessed with self-care than possibly before. It's actually a section in the Stop Writing Alone book where I really wanted to remind writers of the importance of self-care. And for me, it's like a 3-pillar approach. You need physical self-care, you need emotional self-care, and you need creative self-care. But I do get worried about the term self-care, and many people feeling that it's all on them all the time. That's something that I sort of felt. And then I realized I can reach out for help. And Claire is here because she is one of the people that I reached out to in terms of emotional self-care. She's able to provide a service right now that we will talk about it here in this episode about how much I feel like this has helped me. But Claire, why don't you take a moment just to let people know who you are, what it is that you can provide for us in terms of this emotional self-care, and maybe like how you even got into it in the first place, because that's been a fun story. Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you so much just for inviting me onto the podcast. I'm really pleased to be here. My name is Claire Oldham-West, and I'm a hypnotherapist, coach, and podcaster, and I'm absolutely 100%, 1,000% passionate about what I'm now doing. So lots of things have happened to kind of bring me to the place of allowing me to be a hypnotherapist, and we'll talk and discuss in detail the work that I've done with Nicole. But in terms of what actually drove me, why I'm actually doing this is, for me, PTSD took me to a place that I was literally on the floor in that moment. I remember it as if it was yesterday. I was in my bedroom, something had happened, and I actually remember thinking, okay, so this is a nervous breakdown. This is how it looks. I feel it, and I thought, I'm not really sure what's going to happen after this exact moment, but it's not going to be great. But I've just got to accept it. And from that point, I just didn't feel that I could go down that route of having a nervous breakdown. I always do things differently. Even for me, I thought, I just can't give into this. I can't do this. And at that time, I still, I'd got my podcast. It was up and running. It was successful. And I just thought, I'm not going to let that go for this nervous breakdown. I'm just not going to do it. So I went a holistic approach in terms of my self-care. And in those moments, I was listening to hypnotic trance and of a morning and of an evening. I was looking at breath work and just different things, a lot of different things. And thankfully, I was able to get on the upside of that. And although I was prescribed medication, I chose, and I know, this is a personal choice, I chose that wasn't the way that I wanted to go. And I remember taking the meds for a couple of days, even like 4 days in, and I felt drowsy. My husband was talking to me, I wasn't taking things in. I just felt numb. And at that point, I'd gone through lots of things. I don't want to give the energy to that side too much, but let's just say, when you're in your home and the keys are taken out the door and you're locked inside because your partner doesn't want to let you out, there's lots of intense emotions that go on in that time, that quietness of feeling that you can't really speak your mind, feeling that you don't have a voice, and feeling that if you were to stand up to somebody, there would be consequences. And that's how I lived. And I thought that actually, at the point that I'd left a bad relationship, I thought I was on the upside. I thought, everything was fine. There were so many positive things that went after actually I left that relationship. I actually thought I'd dealt with it. But one moment in 2018, after I'd actually purchased the podcast course, that's when the PTSD had kicked in. And thinking about that and all of those feelings and what I wanted to do when I knew that I could look at taking redundancy last year, I thought, what is it I want to do? And I thought about the hypnosis, and I realized that I could actually start to do this. And that's what I did. I invested in it because I believe that what I can do and what I can offer people can actually bring about that real change. Not because I'm this amazing therapist, I've got this inflated ego, because we're dealing with the subconscious mind, and that subconscious mind is so powerful. And when I speak to people and they talk about, stage hypnosis, and they laugh about it, saying, I'm going to turn them into a quacking duck. I said a quacking chicken yesterday. I don't even know where that came from. But, I say, no, yes, that's powerful, but this, just experience it for yourself. And that is probably a bit of a long answer as to why I've gotten into this, because I think when emotional distress, when you've really felt it to your core, and then know that there's something that can help people, because as a qualified counsellor, I know that the clients that I used to see used to take a long, long time to
Yeah.
talk about things like sexual abuse, those really horrendous things that can happen. And one of the therapies that we'll talk about in a moment that I offer is content free.
Right.
People don't have to go into every single detail. In fact, they don't even have to tell me at all what the problem is, because it just all comes up and out. And I'm sure, you know, for your listeners now, they're probably thinking, well, this all sounds a bit strange, up and
Right.
out. What does that mean? So that's why I wanted to share this. And I did this with Nicole just to experience it, so that when we came on the podcast today, we could actually talk about it and go into that finer detail, I guess. And I feel like I've taken over your podcast, Nicole.
No, that's what I mean. This is what the interview is for. I want everyone to hear this. I think I just to put a fine point on it, that content-free therapy that you offer was really the eye opener for me, because, and we had this discussion before that, you know, I know, like you know, we have our past, we have our things that we carry with us. I've been to therapy, I've talked it through. I laughed when you said I was sure I dealt with it, right? Because I was also in that boat. Like, I've dealt with, not only have I dealt with my stuff, I'm dealing with my stuff. I feel like it's always like there. So, you know, what more can I expect? And when you first explained to me this idea of content-free therapy, it wasn't appealing because I felt like I didn't want to share what I had. But it was that I was at a point where I felt like I no longer knew what was the thing that was weighing me down. And that, to me, is part of the beauty of the content free. It's that your subconscious seems to be like dealing with stuff, and maybe you don't even know exactly what the thing is. And that's, you know, when you told me about it, I was like, all right, so maybe this is the path in for me to figure out what's bogging me down. But I was really like leap of faith. I'm like, I don't know, but whatever, I'm willing to try it. Having done it, and you and I both know, like, things came up for me that seemed so like I never would have brought up in therapy. I never would have thought that was a thing that I even thought about, and really have helped me, you know, that I've released it, you know, that I'm just sort of like, yeah, okay, silly subconscious, I don't know why you've been thinking about that. You don't have to think about that anymore.
Yeah.
Let's move on. And that is, it's, to me, that's a really, really powerful thing. Yeah. It's yeah.
And while we're talking about the subconscious mind, I just want to kind of like strip this back and make it really simple.
Yeah.
I like to take things and communicate things really simply. You know, you're the intellect. I don't think I am at all, but I'd just like to really strip it back. So when we talk about the subconscious mind, I just want to explain simply that you have your conscious mind and your conscious thoughts, and then you have your subconscious mind and your subconscious. So it's believed that your subconscious is around 88% of the mind, while your conscious is around 12%. So what does that mean, conscious and subconscious? So your logical thinking, that thought process that when you get up in the morning, you have to think and go for a wash and do those things, you set your intentions. Maybe if you're on a healthy eating plan, it's right, okay, I'm going to start the day, I'm going to prepare my meals, okay, I'm going to have a really good week, I'm on it.
Right.
And then, you know, Friday comes, and then maybe you're at work and people are going out for a drink, and this case of, okay, well, if I go out for a drink, I might have a takeaway afterwards, or I might go for a restaurant. I'm not sure if I can avoid that food, or, you know, I want to be really, really good, so I'm not going to do that. And then you go out, and then before you know it, you're having this, you know, all this food that you didn't intend on having, you know, on Monday morning. Right. And that's because your subconscious mind reminds you of those habits, those beliefs, those behaviors. It remembers that when you're presented with a beautiful piece of cake or a dessert, it remembers how you felt when you was a youngster and you would have that food and those happy feelings. And, you know, your subconscious mind is there purely to serve you. That's the only job it has. So when you're wanting those moments of feeling happy, or if you're down and then you're craving these foods,
right,
your subconscious will sweep in and say, I know how to serve you, Nicole. I'll give you this. I'll give you this coffee, because I know that when you have that coffee and you sat there and you let out this sigh, I know that you feel content. So I'm going to give you this coffee, this cake, whatever that thing is, because your subconscious doesn't forget. And we'll talk about this further, but I can regress somebody back within this process of hypnosis, back to childhood, even back to the womb, even back to past life regression, although that's not something I necessarily do at the moment. That is possible within hypnosis. Right. But when it comes to setting those real intentions for your life and making those real changes, it's all possible within hypnosis. And just think for a moment about hypnosis. If you've seen stage hypnosis and you've seen like a grown man that only moments before was saying, I can't get into hypnosis, you can't do that to me, and then seconds later is like barking like a dog.
Right.
If that can happen, which is hypnosis, that's stage hypnosis. Just imagine those changes when you use hypnosis within a hypnotherapy. You apply the therapy, and that change work, those really
for the power of good
changes. Exactly.
for the power of internal good.
The power of the internal good. And I want to share with people both the power of the hypnotherapy that I provide, but really do a deep dive today just on the emotional release technique, and just so people can hear this. And I know you're really into sci-fi, Nicole, you and your husband. And I know that what we're going to discuss here, people are going to be thinking, what the hell? What's she talking about? What even is this magic? And I know it sounds like magic, because if I was to advertise what we did in those sessions, outcomes, if I was to advertise that on a Facebook ad or something, like in the local, I live in a mining village, an old mining community in the UK. I live near Robin Hood, just to put my face on a map.
Right.
If I was to advertise that, people would think I'd lost the plot. But I'd like to go into that, just into some of the details.
So you would think that you did what now? You lost the what?
Lost the plot? Is that not on my...
I love it.
No.
I love it.
Losing the plot is when, talking crazy, just talking silly.
Yes. Oh, the context sells it all.
There we go. Look, she's bringing it.
I love it. I love it. Which actually, I think that's a really important point to bring up too, that you are in the UK and I am over here in the US in New York, and we did this via Zoom.
Yeah.
That always surprises like friends and family. They're like, but who did you go to? I don't know anyone that's doing this. I'm like, no, I did it in my office. My friends in the UK, they're like, what? And they're like, it's really,
people don't believe it because, and I'm on this podcast today. I am a podcaster. I'm a natural introvert. So for me to come on, this is being videoed. It's going to go on YouTube. It's going to go on my channels. For me to do this, it's a big thing.
Right.
So for me to even do this, it's got to mean something. I don't just show up like this. I'm not super articulate. I erm a lot. In fact, I call myself Queen Erm on the podcast. So for me to even do this thing, it's got to mean something. And at the beginning of thinking, okay, I've got these reviews. I've got fantastic reviews. I've got my website. It's all lovely. It's all great.
Right.
I knew that people would look at this and think, what the hell? So I then thought, okay, so how do I communicate this in a way that when people look at this, and when they see one video, two video, and it multiplies, and you see all of these reactions, that they would actually see that there's something in this, there's power within this. And that's why we're doing the video. And that's why I'm starting a YouTube channel. My son is cringing. I'll tell you now. The thought of me being on YouTube, I can tell you now, bless it.
That's hilarious.
He hates it. It's like, Mum, you're embarrassing. Like, yes, that's me, son.
It's fantastic. Yeah, the 21st century has offered all new ways of parental embarrassment. We're on it.
Bless it.
I think it's great what you're doing, and I love that you're here and that you are putting yourself out there, because immediately from our first session together, Claire and I talk a lot on Voxer with the rest of the Stop Dreaming Alone Voxer Vixen group. And I was immediately on Voxer saying, okay, how do we communicate this to people? How do we let people know that this is so helpful? Because it's that thing of, of course, I want you to succeed, Claire, in what you're doing, but what was driving me even more was all the people I know that are carrying stuff that I'm like, how do I let them know they just need to try this? And if they try it, then they'll see. So yeah, it's really exciting. And yeah, so I know that we're thinking about doing some.
Yeah, I think that would be a great start, actually. So what I'd like to do, I'd like to just take you into hypnosis. And before I do so, I'm just going to explain the reason why that I'm doing this. So we'll go into the detail of everything. But basically, I've been, I speak to a lot of people, entrepreneurs, people in the UK. I do speak to a lot of people in a lot of different community settings. And there's this belief that to be able to get to a really relaxed place, to a place of Zen, that you maybe have to go to this a special coach. You need to be really focused. Maybe you have to go on a retreat. Maybe you have to take a weekend away to really get to that sense of peace. And at the point that I've taken somebody into hypnosis, on the second time or third time, it's so much easier to get somebody into hypnosis. And I want to show your listeners and anybody that's actually watching this on a video, YouTube, wherever they find this, is how quick it actually takes to allow somebody to get to that place of peace and calm. And I was only speaking to a lady that I met with yesterday. I was helping her with food cravings for peanut butter. And she was I think she's a Reiki master. I think she does yoga. And I asked her, how long does it normally take for you to get into a state of meditation? And she said that if it was with somebody like a guide that she was with, probably half an hour. For her, it would be longer. So I just want to show you how long it actually takes for you just to get into a sense of calm, of real deep calm. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to ask you, Nicole, are you happy to go into hypnosis today?
I am happy to go into hypnosis today, yes.
So I just want you to sit back and I'm just going to take over just for a little while. So I just want you to take a nice deep breath in and out and just connect to your calm. Just close your eyes and just allow your breath just to go into a nice, calm, relaxed pace. And I'm just going to send that hypnosis, your special hypnosis, that hypnosis that you know exactly how to get into now. And spread that hypnosis all the way through your body now, through every cell and every fiber of your body now. I want you to allow that hypnosis to go all the way over your head, all the way over your eyes, cheeks, chin, all the way down your body now, over your neck, chest, arms, all the way down. That hypnosis spreading through your whole entire body now, all the way down now, over your thighs, around your knees, calves, ankles and feet. And when it reaches the soles of your feet, I want that hypnosis to go right up back to the top of your body, all the way over your head, like a waterfall of pure relaxation now. Allowing that relaxation, that relaxing hypnosis just to unknot any tension around your face, around your neck, shoulders, that hypnosis. Just releasing any tension now, all the way down your body now, that hypnosis flooding your body. And I want you to see some steps, and these steps are number 10 to 1. I'm going to take you down those steps now. When you get to step number 1, you'll be in a pure state of hypnosis, an even deeper state. So we're going to go down now from 10 to 9, 8, 7, deeper down, 6, so deep now, 5, deeper, 4, deeper still, 3, nearly there, 2, and 1. I want you to go to your special place, a place where you can make perfect positive changes. And in this place, you'll feel calm, content, a sense of peace will just flood your whole entire body now. I want you to see a beautiful armchair within your special place. I want you to take a seat. And as you sit in your armchair, your special armchair, you just feel so relaxed now. And I want you to see above you a ball of beautiful, radiant light. I want you to imagine using the power of your wonderful imagination. This ball of light just shining above your head, and as it does so, any tension that you feel will simply just melt away, drift away, fade away. The more you think about any tension, it will just simply just melt away, drift away, fade away now. And I want that ball of light just to hover over your body, just paying special attention to anywhere that you feel any tension within your body. And as that light casts from this beautiful light over your body, the tension will just simply just melt away, drift away, fade away. Now, the more you think about having any tension or pain within your body, it will just simply melt away, drift away, fade away. Now, so relaxed, so deeply, deeply relaxed and content, calm, content, peaceful. Nobody wants anything from you. Nobody needs anything from you. Here in your special place. Just take a moment just to acknowledge that you can reach this sense of calm and inner peace within moments. Because it's all for you. It's all for you. You have everything within yourself to reach this state of calm. You are strong, powerful, and resourceful. So I want you to acknowledge this, and when you do, just nod to let me know that you've acknowledged this. Thank you. So in a moment, on the count of three, you're going to wake up feeling energized and refreshed like never before. So now let's count from 1, 2, maybe you'd like to take a stretch, 3, eyes wide open, eyes wide open, eyes wide open, and feeling good.
Stretching. Oh, yeah, that was good. I realized that before we got started, I should have asked if I needed tissues.
Is that emotional for you?
No, I was, but
No,
it was the first time, that we had a session that it wasn't emotional for me.
Yeah.
I was worried because with the holidays and then me getting COVID and everything, we haven't done it has it been 3 weeks now, maybe 4? I feel like it's
the subconscious mind remembers. So
yeah, that's so
fascinating. As I was able to take you into hypnosis, how relaxed did you feel? I mean, what was that, about 3 minutes or something?
I mean, well, the thing is that when you said the first now, like you're going into hypnosis now, already there was like a shift. And I was like, oh, we're going. This is great. Because the first time we didn't mention this on this episode yet, but we talked about it in Voxer. The first time ever that we did a session, even though I was like, I can't wait to do this, I'm so excited, I felt like some sort of weird internal resistance, that, and I was like, what's going on? I'm here for this. And it took a little bit longer. But yeah, that's not, so I was worried that today that was going to show up again, because it's like, oh, it's been a while. Maybe, I don't know how this is going to work. So I was deep into it. And we had discussed before we started recording, you had asked me if I had tension anywhere. And I had pointed up to like my forehead and everything. And I think it was like when you said there was like a waterfall or something coming on, like it just felt like it just washed it away like that quickly. I was like, oh wow, it's amazing. It really is amazing. And the thing is, as you said in that moment, that like I have the power and everything within me. That's becomes easier to believe when you realize that you are also the one that has had the power to hold yourself back all this time, that like this weight that it's really just in you. So it's like, okay, so if I could be that badass on a negative end, why can't I show up, and just to me, it always feels like I'm giving my subconscious a little hug of like, thanks for trying to protect me, but like, you're totally misguided on this one, and I don't need that right now. And so it often just feels like this, almost like getting to know myself a little bit more all the time, that it's just, and that's a beautiful thing in and of itself. One of the things that had come up for me on a previous session, Claire had talked about regressing us, and I was brought back to memories from when I was basically an infant, and I could not believe that I was holding on or conscious of anything like that.
How do you advertise that? How do you even
it sounds nuts.
No. So what I'd like to do is just explain a little bit about the process that you went through, I guess, in terms of your first your first taste of hypnosis. So there's one of the techniques that I do. So I do the hypnosis, the hypnotherapy, and the way that I like to see this is that, for example, if you buy that lawn that you buy from the garden centre, and you buy that beautiful green lawn, and it's all perfect, and maybe after a couple of months you notice like a weed pop up or a flower pop up, and then you have to like take those things out. Well, to me, that hypnotherapy that I offer, which I do offer, somebody might come to me and say, I suffer from anxiety, so we'll take that out. And then somebody might say, I suffer from stress, smoking, weight, and then pluck away those things until we see that green lawn again. The therapy that helps you with is, I refer to it as the emotional release technique. And the emotional release for me is basically where you've just laid that beautiful green lawn, and then we're rolling it all the way back, and it's just the soil. So we're starting from the ground up. Because what the emotional release actually does within hypnosis, this is a content-free therapy. So what this does is it allows the client to release any negative images, feelings, thoughts, emotions, and sensations. And what actually happens is, when we start the session, I don't know what's going to happen. The client doesn't know what's going to happen, but release it will. So with the clients that I've worked with, and I can go through a couple of case studies, but with the clients that I've worked with, I've noticed a physical movement in hands and arms, just like you had, Nicole. We'll talk about that in a moment. I myself, when I had this technique done on myself, like I've mentioned, I had PTSD. I screamed for a full 5 minutes, and it, this is crazy. So we'll just touch on that while I've mentioned it. So
you can't say that and just move on.
I know I keep moving on. I need to not do that. So with the scream that I experienced as part of this, I'd experienced PTSD. I've had, let's say, I've had some challenges within my life. A lot of people have, but I'd had some really not very particularly nice challenges, and I'd had that PTSD. So at the point that I had this technique done, I'm going to tell you about in a moment, I'd already received this a couple of times, and then I decided to do and really study this particular technique. So I'd gone on this training course. It was 5 days long, and it started on Monday. And then by day 5, I'd had some moments where my arm had lifted up, my hand was twitching, but I thought that had been released. I thought it was all dealt with. So I was quite surprised. There's no way to say this or explain it. I was quite surprised on the Thursday.
I don't think you were alone. I think everyone was quite surprised.
Yeah, I was quite surprised on the Thursday when was practicing this technique. That the guy that was doing this technique with me said to me, "Okay, whatever emotion is allowing the arm to shake or move, I want you to let it go." And I did. And because this is being videoed, I can explain
and I did.
this. So I had my hands like so, and I was screaming like horror film scare show scream for a full 5 minutes. And the hotel that this training was in, it was like an L-shaped, like big massive corridor. This is funny. I've just remembered something else. So there was there was somebody, and I have to laugh. I mean, you could not write
You
this.
have to laugh. Right,
This would
right.
be a book in itself. There was somebody training, first aid training. There was a guy training first aid training in a room.
Did not tell me that.
They're not telling you. Yeah.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, so he shot out with the kit, with all the, obviously it was like training it to this, like these students.
Somebody got hurt.
What hell was going off? He shot out of the room, came to the guy that was like hypnotizing me and said, well, you could have told me. They thought somebody had broken the legs. They came out, they thought somebody had broken the legs because it sounded horrendous.
Right.
And he said to them, she could have told me. I'm thinking, I didn't even know this was
right.
happening. I didn't even know. And unfortunately, one of the ladies, she was like really triggered. She was shaking. One of the students in this this first aid training, a lot of people were shook up because it did sound like somebody was being murdered.
Something terrible happened, yeah.
And at the same time, and it's a good job I've got a sense of humor, because in that moment I actually knew, I was conscious. I knew that I was doing this, and I can remember in that moment thinking, well, this is a bit embarrassing, isn't it, Claire? This is a bit embarrassing. But I could not. This thing had to come out. This scream had to come out. I didn't see any memories. I didn't see any faces. Nothing. All
that's interesting. Scream. Oh wow!
And then at the same time as they'd shut out. Further up, I don't know. Okay, so further up the corridor, I'm going to be professional. Further up the corridor,
right.
This big hotel, it's a huge hotel. Somebody within the hotel was showing two potential clients who was looking to hire the whole floor out. It was like massive, this hotel. And they were showing two clients around, two prospective clients. So it's like an estate agent showing a house round and then finding a dead body or something. So there I was screaming the hotel down. And they were being shown around this hotel as prospective like clients. But apparently they did agree to hire it after all that.
So did. Okay.
Couldn't have been that bad. Couldn't have been that bad. And then afterwards, obviously my throat was a little bit, a little bit tender. But after that, and this is what I say to potential clients that are looking at, going into this process of this emotional release. I'm not here to say, okay, do this and your world's going to be fantastic and it's going to be great. And it is positive. It's a really positive release. Right. And I'll talk about the changes in a moment. After that, the energy levels, you feel tired. Yeah. Because you've released this emotion, and the actual trainer on that day said to me that that's not something that they often see. It's like you probably see this like once every 3 months, and this is what it does all the time. But I'd carried that emotion, and he said that it had been repressed for years and years. Right. And I did feel tired. That evening I was okay, and then the following day I felt like I couldn't even drive back home. It was very intense. Yeah. But then since that release, for me personally, I've always had an issue with food. Always going to food. Always. That's always been my thing. But after that, I also had some other work done, and I've not eaten chocolate. I've not eaten cake all over Christmas. I was able to resist it, not because I was being good, not because I was sticking to plan. I didn't even want it. I had
the same thing.
So this process has allowed me to whatever that thing was I was carrying, it has allowed me to get rid of that. And so no doubt we've got lots of, do I need to touch back? Do I need to backtrack on what I've just said? I don't know. I'm doing lots of talking, Nicole.
No.
You're the host.
That was wonderful. I mean, it's a great story. I mean, just so everyone knows, like I said, we're always connected via Voxer all the time. So Claire came in like to tell us, but it was so hard to understand what she was saying because her voice was so raw. And when I oh my, too funny. And knowing what an introvert you are and everything, I was like, this had to be like the nightmare of nightmares. But I was just going to say, like you said that afterwards, I similarly was very tired, it was kind of like, there's two different types of tired, right? There's tired where it's like, there's just too much going on. I'm exhausted by life. It wasn't that. It was, I'm tired. I've done something, almost like the difference between like when you're tired after a great workout, right? You have a great workout and you're physically tired, but you're like, I also feel awesome. I just did this cool thing. So I was very tired, and then it took a couple of days for me to realize that I had no desire for coffee. And for me, that was so bananas. It's, nothing about this engagement with you was for me to deal with any kind of food craving or anything like that. I was well aware that I had been self-medicating to a certain extent with coffee, but I didn't think that it would just be like, I didn't even want my 1 cup a day. And it's not, I've had coffee since, and sometimes it's been like, okay, but it's just not even now, even though we hadn't had a session in like 3 weeks or what have you. It's just
so just to go into the detail. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, it's just sort of like, it's a thing I can have if I want, but
you don't have to. So in terms of your therapy and showing you that this was available for you, and explaining that these things are going to come up, he was very brave to allow me to video this. I need to edit this for YouTube, and that was fantastic. Now, you're laughing.
I'm laughing because people see it. It's hilarious.
It's an emotional one, and I don't think I split the screens on the first one, but on the first one, just to go in and also, I guess, to compare this to like standard hypnotherapy. You might be used to people like reading scripts. Right. And maybe instead of saying, okay, yeah, I want you to walk down this path and I want you to see the path, it's like, okay, I want you to walk down this path.
Right.
I want you to see the sky, all of that. I don't do that. As you can tell, I don't do that at all. And they read scripts and it's all beautiful and surreal. But in terms of this therapy and what we're doing, this technique, we're basically allowing you to release the negative images, feelings, thoughts, emotions, and sensations. And a lot of the time, I'm just quiet. Because the actual change of power is your subconscious mind, and it's allowing those things to come up and out. And that's what happened with your session. So there was lots of emotions, lots of tissues, lots of tears.
Yeah.
But what I'd like you to tell the listeners and tell the audience that are watching this today is about the fold in your vision. Yeah. So we'll talk about that first session and just what fold means to you, how you got that fold, how long you'd had it, and what happened afterwards.
Yeah. So if you've been a long time listener of Stop Writing Alone, you know my history, but in case you don't, I was a public high school teacher. That was my passion. I loved it. My mom passed away in 2006, and shortly thereafter, I got diagnosed with a rare disease called pseudotumor cerebri, or intracranial hypertension, which brings cerebral spinal fluid and an excess inside your skull, your spine, everywhere CSF goes. And they don't know really why. And what ends up happening is lots of pain and very often blindness, because the spinal fluid finds its way to the optic nerves, squeezes, does damage. I have flood lines inside my eyes, like as if a flood happened. And when eye doctors look in, they can see the line where the CSF was. And my left eye, as a result of the time with the disease, because I am, let me knock on wood, in remission since 2012, I would say. I was legally blind for at least 2 years, no reading, no writing. And coming out of that, I had to have surgery on my left eye to release some of the pressure, to release some of that fluid. And then I went through treatment, and my vision has come back to a certain point, but never fully 20/20. And in that left eye, I had gotten what I like to call the fold. And so if I'm looking at an eye chart with the big E and then the letters underneath, and we think of that as a piece of paper. I'm actually on video, so I could do this if I had a piece of paper that would demonstrate it. But here, I don't even know what I wrote on here. But like, this is my piece of paper, there's writing on it. And if you fold it, you know that there's something missing between like the beginning of the sentence and the end. And the fold in my vision actually even has that, the way it would be skewed if it's folded. So when I look at an eye chart, I'll say, okay, I see A, H, and I know something's missing because then that's when I see the page sort of fold. And then there's more letters. And that's just the vision in my left eye. It's always been that way. And similar to today, before we recorded, Claire asked me if I had any tension or what have you. We had just talked before the session about, where I have tension or what's going on. And I had said, I've always had stuff in my shoulders and my neck. And then of course, I have stuff in my head. I had gone to Claire just not knowing what to expect and what I was going to release or what have you. And like I said, when she first put me under hypnosis, there was that little bit of resistance on the inside. So it was like, okay, I think the first thing I felt was maybe something in my hand or arm. And then she pulled me out and then we went back in again. And it was that second time that all of a sudden the left side of my face felt incredibly heavy. And while I was under hypnosis, I kept asking Claire later, I'm like, did it look like my head was like laying on my shoulder? Because that's what it felt like. So what had happened was that I was feeling something on my left arm in the first session. And then when we went back, I shouldn't say the first session, but when we had the first appointment, you took me sort of like in and out of hypnosis a couple of times. So the first time it was just in my arm, but then the second or third time, I don't remember which one, my head started to kind of feel like it was attached, and it felt like this weight that was in this side of my face really came out through my left arm. And of course, there was so many tears and there was shaking and everything. And when we finished, the left side of my everything, the tension in my neck on that side, but also the weight of my face was not only lifted, but gone. I almost felt like it was lighter than my right side. And so I came away from that just having that physical feeling of difference and just being like, wow, whatever that was great. And I think we did it on like a Thursday or Friday, something like that. And it was the next Monday that I was just doing my regular work and reading. And I wasn't struggling with my reading the way I normally have been. And recently, in the last couple of months, it's been getting very difficult. And I was like, oh, well, what's going on? And then I went running around my house to look for things because I was like, I don't see the fold. What is going on? And then immediately got on Voxer and was like, ladies, I don't know what's happening, but I think there's something going on that I'm seeing better. Whatever it is, the struggle is gone. And that lightness that I felt is now transpiring in a different way. Like I can actually see a difference with that. And so that was fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And it really was just a couple of days later. And it could have been before. I just wasn't sitting and intensely reading because I've been struggling so much with it lately. So it was like one day where I needed to get stuff done. And it was as if it wasn't there anymore. And I'll say this, like my eyes, like I said, I was legally blind for a while. So I've been through the process of my eyes recovering in a certain way and healing. And then I've gotten to a point where it's stable and sort of stagnant. And so there has been a part of me that's like given up on the idea that they could potentially heal more until that day. And then I was
that's a story, isn't it? We talk about stories. That's a belief system. That's your belief.
Right.
And I understand that this could sound like really patronizing for me to say this to people that have these medical conditions and complaints, especially when it comes to pain management and all of those things. And what I would say in terms of hypnosis, you know what, just try. There's all hypnosis is, it's just a full focus. And when you can get into that state of full focus and talk directly to your subconscious mind, look, what happened. And then when we went on to your second session, and then again the emotional release, and again another lots of emotions and tears and all of those things that went with it. And I could see that obviously lots of things were happening. There's quite a lot of movement. I think there was in the first session, but I remember seeing your arm. It was literally like this. It was like literally like this. So I knew that there was great stuff that, you know, that was happening within that session. And then afterwards, you know, you was beside yourself. I was like, you know, I thought, has she connected with an image or something, you know, what's happened? And then you said to me, you said that pain had gone. So you just want to explain what happened there. Because, and I'm asking you to explain because, you know, I could explain this and people could say, well, she's going to say this, isn't she?
Right.
I hear you. I'd rather it come from you because you're the one that went through it and experienced it.
No, definitely. To me, it's still fascinating. So as I said, when it came to Claire with the tensions that I had, it was my head and these two shoulders. That's where I really felt like something was happening. And in that first session, my whole left side was sort of relieved. So when we came back to the next session, I kind of was like, even when I got into hypnosis, it was almost like I was sitting with my subconscious and saying, let's deal with whatever this is, you know. And there was, I don't remember how we communicated it. I think it was probably like we did one hypnosis and then a second, but I had said, it just feels like it's just so rock hard right here. And you had done something about like lifting, let me lift out whatever's there. Right. And so you did help relieve some big, or, you know, whatever, that helped me relieve some big thing. So that when I went back into hypnosis again, I literally said to my subconscious, you know what? I don't even care what it is. Let's just let it go. I don't care because I don't need to know. Just let it go. Mm-hmm. And with that, I had, for me, the memories or what have you, there were two things that were happening to me in hypnosis. And I guess this could be helpful to hear. I would see colors, or I would just, perhaps this is the writer brain, just hear like phrases, right? Or sentences, like something. And so what happened next was that I sort of like internally asked or said, just remember that you're thirsty. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because that has a very deep story for me. And it did not think that it was really my story. I thought it was my mom's story. When I was 18 months old, I was in a coma. And the last thing that I said to my parents before falling into the coma was, or I said it to my mom, I'm thirsty. And it was a big joke. Like the whole time my mom was alive, all I would have to say is, Mommy, I'm thirsty. And she would immediately start crying because of the guilt. And so I was a terrible daughter for doing that to her. I realize that now. But I remembered that I was thirsty. And then I thought, I don't feel good. I don't want to go. Why aren't they listening to me? And so what had happened when I was 18 months old is that I was 18 months old. I'm sure I couldn't communicate anything to my parents, but I wasn't feeling well. And we were going to the beach, and it was the three of us. We got to the beach. And when we got onto the beach, I said, Mommy, I'm thirsty. And my dad went to go get me a drink at like, you know, a stand or whatever, lemonade. And then my eyes rolled back in my head and I went into a seizure because I had a fever and I was in the sun. Like it was just all so quick. I guess on the ride to the beach, I had gotten worse. And so the lifeguard took me, packed me in ice. But by the time I got to the hospital, I was in a coma for 2 days. And I woke up, in the hospital or what have you. So the thing is that phrase of, I don't feel well, I don't want to go, why aren't they listening, seemed to be like the thing that I was carrying there, that like they weren't listening and that I got taken. I don't know. I can't even, like, I don't even need to to really dissect it, but you know me, I can't help myself. The thing is that after that, it was gone. Both of my, what are these traps? This muscle have been loose now, or normal, I should say, since our session. And I have been dealing with that tension for years. I went to physical therapy for something like 3 months of a physical therapist saying, I guess the doctor gave you muscle relaxers, keep taking the muscle relaxers. I'll keep working on it. He couldn't do anything. The muscle relaxers weren't working. He's like, I just don't understand. I was doing all the exercises, everything. And so I sort of like gave up. I couldn't keep paying for physical therapy that wasn't working. The muscle relaxers were not good for me in general. So I've kind of come to living with these tight things. And these 2 sessions, the one with the left side pouring out, and then that memory from my 18-month-old self, it's still nuts to me, released this tension.
And I think when you said after the session that, you know, obviously you was crying out, I was trying to figure out what happened.
Yeah.
You was crying because you couldn't remember a moment in time that you couldn't feel that tension or that pain. And you mentioned that when you was at school, you put it down to wearing heavy backpacks, and then always you swim and be a strong swimmer. Yep. And this is a thing, you know, this is a thing, you know, we can say that this helps people with trauma, which it does, and PTSD, which it does. But there's also this perception of an event, and the way that we've internalized this perception of an event, and how we've internalized this to mean something that maybe it wasn't ever intended to mean. Yeah. And what happens within this technique is the emotional release technique allows people to process this thing. It doesn't mean say that if you've been through horrendous trauma that you know you're not going to be able to like recollect that or anything like that. It just means that you'll be able to see, as if, for example, that you're afraid of, I don't know, you're afraid of rats, and you can't look at the movie screen with rats on it. Just makes you scream, like a phobia that I had around rats before hypnosis. But when you have this release technique, you can still look at this, and you can still see this thing for what it was, that memory for what it was. Right. But the pain has gone, not because there was never any pain, emotional pain, but because you've been able to process this. And it's as if that this thing happened to you when you was 18 months old. This horrendous thing for your parents, I imagine, and for you, of going to this coma, this seizure. But now you've been able to process it. And before that time, the way that I see it is it's almost like it wasn't there. It was that unresolved emotion. Right. But now that's been processed, and now it's not gone. You know, it's gone. Sorry, it has gone. It's left you, and it's not going to return. Right. And how could you have taken that to therapy?
I wouldn't have. I mean, that's what we talked about. As I said, also, it never felt like my trauma or my story. Mm-hmm. I always felt like it's something that happened to my mom and my dad, you know, and that I was like sleeping through most of it, you know. So I didn't process that. And it's funny now because I'm a mom now, and I saw how conscious Alex was and aware, you know, from the beginning. But, you know, I never really thought that 18-month-old Nicole was absorbing all of this and then, you know, going to hang on to it for the rest of her life. I never in a million years would have gone to a therapist and said, you know, one thing I want to talk about when I've heard a story about something that happened to me when I was 18 months old. I mean, that's it. It was always, I heard a story. It was so detached from happening to me. And so, like you said about the processing of it, it's now, like I can see it's like, oh, that is something that happened to me. Right. But I'm good now, but it did happen to me. And I don't even think I was even putting that bit together, that it you know, like that it happened to me. It's bizarre.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, but whatever. Like you said, I always wore backpacks. So I just always thought I was doing this tension to myself. And yeah, when I swam, these guys grew really big. So I was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing the right stretches or whatever.
You know, hypnosis, what it does do, it allows you to relax, to really, you know, truly relax. And only last night I was working with somebody around cravings for a cookie. That was it. Cravings for a cookie.
Right.
And I know that within like 20 minutes, half an hour would be good to go. Then afterwards, she's like doing this thing with her neck. And I said, so are you feeling, did your neck feel different? She goes, I couldn't do this before the session. She's like, I can do this now. This pain has been hurting me for days, and I couldn't do this. And she, because it was her first time in hypnosis, she came with this understanding that she'd be receiving help for a cravings, a food cravings.
Right.
Wouldn't it be a nice thing not to go into the kitchen and want to crave a cookie? She left only not wanting to crave a cookie. She didn't want cookies at all, but she'd got this physical reaction to hypnosis. It was actually able to relax her. And that tension, it had gone, and she was like, this is crazy. This is and that's what happens. You know, I don't know what's going to happen. You don't know what's going to happen. And even when I try and, I guess, I direct it towards something, as in, okay, this is for food cravings. Come here and you will receive help for food cravings. The physical impact of actually relaxing, not just relaxing. So, for example, if I gave you like a meditation, like a guided meditation, I said, right, listen to this. You'd be like, you probably lie in your bed or in your chair, relax. I'm like, okay, I'm going to relax. I'm going to really, really relax. And I'll not think about doing the podcast. I'll not think about editing the podcast. I'll not think about picking Alex up from school.
Right.
I'm going to really let me just focus on this meditation. However, when you're in hypnosis, even with the hypnotic trance audios I provide, when you get into that state, so it's not me. I allow you. I facilitate this. Once your subconscious mind connects to that and recognize what it's doing, then it takes over. And that's when you can truly switch off. And that's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's when the magic happens, because when you can truly relax, then, you know, just being in that moment and recognizing that why you thought you may have been relaxed on a retreat, or why you thought you may have been relaxed in Reiki, whatever those things were. And I'm not here saying that none of that doesn't provide a service, or none of that isn't.
Oh yeah, no, me neither. I've received so much help from Reiki. So
all that I'm saying is that to try it, it's harmless. To try it, and then you'll see, because being able to articulate this, there's so many clients that I speak to, and so many clients that have allowed me to, you know, video their process and all of those things. They then say, I just don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to explain it. So it's one of those things where unless you've tried it, you can't explain it.
Yeah, and then there's that, because there's that other end of it where I can get very dangerously close to, where if I try to explain it, then I'm over analyzing it and making it, you know, and it's just like, it just is like, I think we all know, and perhaps this will make sense to writers, because many writers suffer from writer's block. And when you get writer's block, you always know it's something else. It's just something else. And it's like, what is that thing that's blocking me from showing up to my page, to my creativity, to all of this? And it's like, sometimes you can identify it, sometimes you can't. It's like this nebulous thing. And to me, I feel like this hypnosis, this talking to the subconscious, is like the dream of being able to crack open and say, so what exactly is causing the writer's block today? What is it? You know, subconscious, what are you feeling? Because that's really, for me, it just really feels like a sit down with my subconscious. And I really went in saying, the shoulder thing is a bit much. Are you carrying something there? You know, and it answered, you know, it answered in some kind of way.
And that's a thought to come in and help your community with writer's block.
It's something, I think there, you know, because that's really where I'm thinking, any creative is going to understand this. Understand how, because the thing of what the connective tissue there is, that writer's block or creative block, whatever it is a perfect example of the power of the subconscious.
Yeah.
Because that's what, and it's nothing but the subconscious holding you back. And sometimes it is insecurity about what you're going to write. Sometimes it is, the next scene is going to be something that's difficult in maybe emotionally or what have you, and you're blocked. Sometimes you're just confused about how to say things right or what have you, or you're just creatively exhausted. It could be, or it could be you are sitting in an uncomfortable chair, but you thought it was really pretty and you wanted to make a really nice office. So you're sitting there, but you know what? You're not writing until you get your dirty, ratty old chair, like that. It could be anything, but it's always this, unspoken thing. So I think for me, what you've done for me is I've had like these life blocks, right? Like this weight on my shoulders, this pain in my head. And they do slow me down or stop me or what have you, and it was just a moment to open up and ask myself, what is it really? And is it something that we need to carry? So
I think it's important to say that while people feel that I'm doing this for them, I facilitate the change. I don't do this. I've not got the power to do it, but your subconscious mind has.
Right.
And people, especially, when they've gone through trauma and that emotional pain, often get to that point where they feel like deflated, they feel like they're on the floor. It's almost as if, they're on the floor and the arms dangling a little bit below, and it's the feeling that pull, and it's like, how do I even get up? How do I even kneel? Let alone stand up and start walking. And when you're in that mindset, that really dark place, to even acknowledge that you've got everything within you to start to stand and start to walk and start to be in a calm state, in a state of inner strength and inner power.
Right.
I think it's a hard call to connect to, but that's exactly what the fact of your self-conscious mind is. It's that inner strength. Everyone's got it. You just need to connect to it, and I facilitate that. And the reason I'm explaining this is I know you're a writer, Nicole. I know that you've read like 1,000 books. And I know, especially in America, and I'm going to say it, shoot me down for saying this, but I'm going to say it anyway. You're way above where the UK is in terms of self-help, all of those things. That's how I've grown up in the UK. It's always like, it's in America first, and then we get it. And, like journaling, for example, people have just started to talk about journaling, only just, and mindfulness. And the groups I attend in, or have attended in the UK, lovely that they are, when we start talking about being an entrepreneur.
Right.
Okay, well, I heard that like three years ago. Everything, it's like the churn of. So in terms of self-help, self-care, I know that that all there is to know. Probably, you're a Reiki practitioner. You're studious. You read books. You're well read. However, when we start dealing with hypnosis and hypnotherapy, it's primal.
Yeah.
It's nothing to do with ego. It's nothing to do with the therapist. And if it ever is to do with a therapist, then you need to just take a step back. Because there are lots of therapists about that being the big I am. Right. And at the end of the day, I haven't got the power to do this. I'm able to allow that process to allow you to really connect on a deep level with your subconscious mind, and it's your subconscious mind that does that deep work. I just facilitate it, and I think that's what we need to get across. And I'm going to try and get that across to many people, in that there's lots of noise, there's lots of powerful speakers, and I love it, don't get me wrong, I love the motivation of powerful speakers, but there's a lot of ego. And we need to kind of like just recognize that. And I absolutely feel that we've almost like overcomplicated the mind. And when I work with clients, I really strip it back. I even say to clients, what I'm now going to tell you is going to sound really basic. And I know that you're going to know the answer, but I just want you to go with it. I just want you to go with this. Because we really overcomplicate it. You know, we put personality behind theories, and we rechurn theories, and then people claim it as their own theory. Or their own therapy and all that. You know, it's got like a different name.
They gotta brand it, rebrand.
They rebrand it. At the end of the day, you know, hypnosis has been going for years and years and years.
Yeah.
You know, like Marissa Peer, for example, what she's doing, it's been going for years and years and years. And while she may pay or charge, I don't know, $4,000
wow,
to learn it, or whatever that price tag is, and she is fantastic, and she's helping people to make changes and helping other people to make those changes too.
Right.
You don't have to pay that amount of money to, you know, to understand how this can help you and how it can affect you, because this is primal.
Yeah.
Dealing with the mind, it's primal. And, you know, you can be in that mindset where you think, okay, if I read this book, I'll be able to do X, Y, and Z. If I can read this encyclopedia, or if I can only just go on this degree or do this master's, then I can do that thing. No, absolutely not. Absolutely not. You know, just go into hypnosis.
Yeah.
Be mindful of what you want to change, and the change will happen. And you can do that by within a single therapy session that I offer, or with the emotional release. But with everything that I offer, I don't offer ego along with it. I'm not gonna. What's the point of me showing up and say, well, if you do this, you're gonna, you know, get this fantastic revelation and all. I don't know what's going to happen within that session. Clients don't know what's going to happen, and then while they can come in with, you know, not wanting to smoke, wanting to lose weight, wanting help with IBS, all of those things, the issue is never the issue. The issue is never ever the issue.
Yeah.
Why people take money for that, and why I even offer help for anxiety and stress and all of those things within the process of hypnosis. The subconscious mind knows exactly what needs to be released.
Yeah.
what needs to change. You know what I mean? And while people can, you know, I know some people that will offer like a full hour consultation into what they want to change. That's, I mean, quite frankly, that's a waste of time. It's waste.
It's not for you to know. Like, you don't need to know that. You just need to let the person do their thing.
That's it. So I offer a free half-an-hour consultation, because I know a lot of people think, well, actually, I can't get into hypnosis. It all sounds wonderful, but what if I can't get into hypnosis? They have weird questions, strange questions, and then that just gives them an opportunity to ask. Because I know this is a weird thing. It's all very woo-woo, isn't it?
Right.
On that first session, they will go into hypnosis. The clients will go into. So if you're somebody that may have like paid for a hypnotherapist and you've had that hours-long consultation, you've paid for that.
Right.
I'd be really, you know, looking at what you've actually done there. And, you know, if you're looking for change, and if this interests you, then, you know, just come along for, you know, a chat and ask any question, because I really am passionate about this. I'm so passionate, because as a counsellor, I could listen to people go through, you know, horrendous traumas and going through every part of that, and almost going back into trauma, because it was reliving that, and then holding their space for them to go through that. And that's why I love this. I don't really like the word rapid. I don't use that within my description of the therapy that I offer. But within 3 sessions, 3 emotional release, whatever you've been holding on to will be up and out. Even in one session, you will notice change. And, you know, I just find it so exciting, because having had that diagnosis of PTSD, you know, I suffered with panic attacks and all of those horrible things that go with that, with having to take medication. And if this can help people get on the other side of that in a shorter space of time, if it can help people that know that they've not got to go through therapy for like 12 months, 2 years to get on the upside of it, then I'm all for that. And actually I had a friend tell me about their child thinking that if they put them through therapy, as in like standard therapy, that by the time they got to university, they'd be okay. And, you know, their child was 15. And
That's heartbreaking.
3 years of them going through that, when you know, this could be something that can help. And that's why I think, because I've been in that place where I've seen clients go through emotional distress,
right,
and I know this works, then I'm all for it.
Yeah, that's amazing. So Claire, you talked about your offering of the half-hour consults for people to ask questions if they're curious and they want to just talk to you one-on-one, which I think is amazing. But you also have something coming up later in the month, January 27th. Do you want to tell everybody what's coming?
So if anyone's interested in the free consultation, if you go over to claireoldham-west.com, that's my website. But what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to offer a course that's going to start in February, and I'm going to do a webinar on the 27th of January just to explain a little bit more about that. And when I started to think about doing a webinar, I've never done a webinar before, and I was a little bit worried, thinking, okay, how's this going to flow? I thought I really want to show people what can actually happen within hypnosis. And because of my podcast, which is Slimming Stories Around the World, I wanted to offer something to people that really struggled with those cravings, with that emotional pullback when they're trying to make those healthy changes, when they're trying to lose weight and struggling. And the way that I guess I connected to this emotion that you can feel is when you step on those scales and you're looking at your physical weight, but you're carrying this backpack of emotion. It's almost like that emotional weight. We need to address that emotional weight before you even think about stepping on scales. So I've put together this course that will basically deal with that, with all of that emotion. And there is journaling within this course. There is elements of CBT and different counselling therapies within this. But there's also hypnotic downloads that I'm going to be doing with people. They'll be put into a Facebook group. Be community, will be doing weekly Zoom calls, just to show people the power of it. And that, again, it's why I want to video people having this process. So that's what I've been doing for the last month, just allowing people to look at the cravings and just showing people that this can actually work. So I've helped people with cravings for donuts. That was Joanna, one of our friends.
I didn't know donuts was Joanna's thing.
There we are. So for donuts, for fizzy pop, for chocolate, peanut butter. I did that yesterday. So, and you'll actually be able to see people just receiving this change. But I want people to recognize that this is all for them too. It's not something that's elite to just a few people. This is something that's available. And if you're in that mindset, okay, it's a new year, and I was still kind of like in and out of COVID. I know it's quite rife at the moment. I think in the UK, everyone seems to be catching COVID. So there's that little bit of a negative stance on the start of the year. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put this course forward. The webinar will be on the 27th of January. And then it will open up to the public. And then this will close on the 13th of February. So it's going to put you in a good place for Valentine's Day. And this Valentine's Day, I want this all to be about you, whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, about that self-love, that self-care that you need to give yourself by really dealing with those things. And, you know, we talk about in the UK weight in stones and look at those stones that we carry. And actually, do we ever turn over that stone and look what's beneath? I know that when I was a kid, I was really curious. So I would have a rockery at home. So that would be just a mound of soil with all these rocks on. And then I'd plant around it, plant some nice flowers. I'd be in the garden with my mum. That's something I used to enjoy. And then I'd be the one like turning over the rocks and the stones, turning over those stones to see what's underneath. And I wasn't scared. You know, my mum, you know, she was like, those spiders, have you seen the spider, that spider, Claire? You scared of it? No, there was that. I was never fearful of creepy crawlers. So I'd turn over that stone, I'd look what was underneath. Sometimes it'd be like centipede, sometimes it'd be like the spiders, or those bugs. I'd be interested. But when it comes to our weight in the stones, we never really think, okay, so that's the weight, what's underneath it all? You know, what really lies beneath that? And then maybe we'll touch on that slightly. But do we ever have a deep dive? Do we ever really truly understand it? do we ever really look into it or even spend that time? We're so busy, but within hypnosis, I've shown you today that it's very quick to get into that state of calm and really think about that self-care, which I know is difficult when we've got these busy lives with work, with kids, with elderly parents, whatever that thing is. I get it. I totally get it. But hypnosis it's not complex. It's primal. Yeah. And anybody can be hypnotized. And I'm really.
The irony is that it's like we know it, it's like you said, it's in us. And it's the rest of the world that just keeps distracting us from tapping into it. So it's like you give us this opportunity to say, all right, just like do your thing. Just sit here and do your thing. It's really, really powerful. So I know you've been videoing stuff. I know I've been one of the, I don't want to say victims, but there's lots of tears.
Say that.
So where you have some going up on a YouTube channel? Where can people see what's going on in case we're talking to somebody who's just listening to this episode and not seeing it? So where can they go to check that stuff out?
So basically, if you go over to Claire Oldham-West on YouTube, you'll see the videos on there. And I'm about to send Nicole a clickable link where you can register your interest for the webinar. And then you'll also see a link to a video. And what I've done is if you go on my YouTube channel, you'll see videos at the full length. But I also edit some down just for like 6 minutes to get like the before and after. And what I thought was really important to make this really real was I asked the people involved to bring the food that they crave. So I asked them to bring that to the session.
Oh my.
I get them to describe that food. So for example, Joanna, bless her, yesterday, she bought a donut and she was like, oh, I can smell this strawberry donut, it's beautiful pink donut.
She's supposed to just sit here.
And she was like describing it. She's like, I was like, how much do you want to eat it? She goes, oh, it's just beautiful, it's gorgeous. And she explained that she would eat probably like 2 of these at like one time. It's like a real treat. And going through all of that, I then take somebody into hypnosis. And then afterwards, she's like, it doesn't even smell the same. It just smells so much sugar. I was like, do you want to eat it? She's like, no. It says, I want to put it there. The lady that I spoke with last night, the peanut butter lady. Peanut butter lady, yeah. That's her actual name. She brought the jar to the session and she showed me inside the jar and you can actually see where she got the spoon and
scoops
it out. Now I can't stand peanut butter. I would not want to eat that both in or out of hypnosis. But she loved it and she was saying about all those memories of being a kid and I should sneak it away and that. And then within hypnosis, I put that sensation of salt around that peanut butter. And I basically got her to empty like a full pot of salt and then stir it all around. Yeah. So after the session, I know I'm so bad. And after the session, she picked up the pot and she says, I can just taste salt.
Oh, wow.
She could not even smell it and try and just to get that transformation. We see weight loss transformations, but I want the transformation of the hypnosis and that the craving, I guess. So I got her to pick it up and she literally, it was like the jar was there and she couldn't even bring it up to her mouth. And 50 years of eating butter.
I mean, the first time that I had a cup of coffee after our, like I said, it wasn't even that I wasn't trying to have coffee. I was just like, oh, I didn't have coffee today. And so it was like a couple of days after that I was like, I think we were out somewhere, Rob and I was like, yes, we went to a diner for breakfast. I said, I'm going to get my diner coffee. It'll be a treat because I haven't had coffee in a while. I love my little diner coffee. Did not taste the same. So then I was like, maybe they had a bad pot. And so like a couple of days later, I made my favorite coffee at home. Did not taste the same. I was like, okay, I can have it once in a while, but it's not even like, like, oh, I really, really want it. It's, I mean, today I have a mug. This is tea. It's not even, I don't have coffee today.
Very English.
Yes. Well, really, my mother, it's funny because my mother didn't drink coffee. My mother drank tea every day. That's the Irish in her. And so it's been very strange that I drank coffee all this time. Anyway, I should have known it was something other. Claire, this has been amazing. I'm really, really excited that we got to share this with everybody, because I know everybody could benefit, and as one of the things that really got me is that near the end of, no, it wasn't even the end of last year. I don't know when it was. At some point in the fall, I put a post up on Facebook, and I just asked into the ether. I was like, so we've had a really, really crazy couple of years, and I don't feel like regular self-care can cut it to do, to help pass this thing. Does anybody have any, like, what are you doing to deal with what's been going on? And it was like crickets. I don't think anyone responded to that post. And so that was around the time that you would ask me if I, and talk to me about the content-free emotional release. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to go for this, because I know I need something right now. And I know that my normal, all the other tools that I've had in my basket, they're just not up to the challenge right now. And so I feel like, whether it is you have something that you've been carrying for a while, or it's just our recent history, that's enough. Like, there's just stuff that I'm sure people are just carrying. I love this content-free approach, because I feel like we're definitely in a time where it's even hard to identify what it is that's weighing us down, because there's just so many choices.
So many things. Absolutely. Agreed. Yeah.
So anything
pleasure.
Yeah, anything else you want to share with the listeners before we head out?
I think, coming on a podcast, and I know that I've had my time to pitch, and everyone's been listening, no doubt. Maybe you've tuned out at this point, I don't know, who knows. And I get that this sounds weird. I'm not sat here thinking that this does not sound weird. I totally get it. But unless you've tried it, you won't really understand. So if you go over to my website, claireoldham-west.com, click on the download. There's a free download. Just experience it for yourself. You don't have to pay. It's free. Just to see, just kind of get a glimpse of what this is all about. And I would love you to turn up on the webinar on the 27th of January. Right. And again, I'll be talking you through. I believe that I'm going to be able to show you some of those little videos I've told you about, and just talk you through that process. I'm not going to guarantee that I'm going to be smooth. You're not going to see me with like a really smooth webinar. I'm just going to put that out there. It's not. I don't even know how to do a webinar.
Listen, if people have been listening to Stop Writing Alone this long, they don't need smooth.
It's like, I'm here saying, come to my webinar on the 27th, like I know what the hell I'm doing. I don't. Look, I'm just going to put this out there. And I know this is an American thing. I know I'm supposed to show up here, and I know I'm supposed to be like super smooth, know exactly what I've got together. But I don't. The truth is I don't. However, when it comes to hypnosis and hypnotherapy, I know exactly that this is going to help you. And that's why I'm taking these scary steps. And that's why I'm coming on a podcast talking about something that I've not even yet got together. And saying, join me, and I'm going to show you. Because I know if I can just explain to you and show you the videos of people having these transformations, I know that I don't need to sound super articulate. I know it's not going to matter if I'm showing you a webinar and it's not super smooth or 100%. And you know what? I don't even care about that anymore, to be honest. All I care about is that transformation and showing people that this is real. We're living in this world of fake, aren't we? We're living in this world of fake and filters, but this is real. You've got to give it a chance. And if this is brand new, and if you sat there thinking, well, this all sounds a bit weird, I get Reiki, but this is all a bit strange, then just show up and just see for yourself, just see for yourself. And if you do want to try it, just download that hypnotic trance. Basically, take somebody through, I think I take you through a forest, an enchanted forest, and it's all nice. It's very calm. It's very relaxing, and just see it for yourself. But I'd love to have you over there and just to see what's out there and what's available, because I know people that charge a ridiculous amount of money for what I do and what I'm offering, but I'm not going to offer ridiculous amounts of money to do this. I'm going to offer this out to people
Right.
that have struggled to stick to plan. You know, people, we talk about the logical brain, that mind that knows what, you know, what they need to do. They start that weight loss plan or they join the gym, they know what they need to do.
Yeah.
They know what they need to do. You don't need to go on a nutrition course to know that if you're sat there with a plate of chocolate and ice cream, and you're sat there with like a healthy, balanced plate of vegetables and lean protein, you know what the answer is, don't you? We all know this.
Yep.
When we're in that moment and wanting that comfort, we're reaching for those things.
Something more powerful.
Exactly. We need something more powerful. We need something different. And if you listen to this and think, well, I've got everything, I'm ticking all the boxes, I don't need to do this. Well, then good for you. This course might not be for you.
Right.
But if you have ever struggled, and you know, and if you're like me, if you used to walk into the kitchen and struggle to pass a cake, or if you used to have to ask your husband to take the chocolate out with him to work, then
remove this.
Honestly, when I used to work from home, when I'm a corporate day job, and I was working from home, it used to be on a Friday, I'd be right, okay, can you please take the chocolate with you? Don't leave it in there. If you leave it in the fridge, it'll go. And then on those occasions, it would leave a full size. We call it dairy milk in the UK. It's like we have, our chocolate is very milk based, so full size of dairy milk. And it would come home and be like, "Where's my chocolate?" I said, "Well, where do you think? Where do you think? Where do you think that chocolate is, Martin?
Where do you think that chocolate is that you left in my presence? That you left with me."
You know, cruel. I should have put it in the wedding vows, really. There was one Christmas when I was so stressed. I was like, oh, it's so stressful. And I think it was a point of like knowing that I had to like stop for Christmas and have a break. But as a lone worker, you know, I would manage myself my own time. I felt pressured. I thought, I just need a bit of chocolate. I'd scoured the fridge. It'd taken everything with him. God damn it, taken all the chocolate out. It'd taken it all out. But then I remembered that I'd got the children's selection boxes upstairs. I remembered. And I thought, what I'm going to do, I'm going to open a selection box. I'm just going to have a bar of chocolate. And then what I'll do is I'll take the other bars and I'll put that with the kids' stuff. And then I'll just return the selection box. Easy. You know, these selection boxes are really cheap. So I opened the selection box and I took out a bar and ate it. And then I took out another bar and ate it.
No.
7 bars of chocolates later, and then I had to go into the bin and hide the selection box, hide the evidence, and go and buy and return the selection box. And you know what? At the end of like 7 bars of chocolate, I sat there and thought, what a ridiculous, you know, I didn't.
What just happened?
What just happened? Just some of those chocolates that had like a caramel within it, which I don't even like.
Right.
I ate it.
Oh my
gosh. Did I feel better after it? No, I didn't.
Right.
So now that I'm able to have chocolate in the fridge without having to eat it, not because I'm being good or because I'm being on plan or because I'm being kind to my husband or my children. Trust me.
Not because I'm sharing.
I'm sharing. Yeah, sharing is caring. I don't give a damn in that moment. I did not used to give a damn if I wanted chocolate. Mummy was having it. Honestly, kids, stepdaughters, husband, it was all for me. When I was in that moment, but now I can, you know, my husband and children can rest assured if that chocolate is there,
it's safe.
Stay there.
It's safe.
The amount of times that my husband will say to me, I'm trying not to laugh now. My husband's a golfer, and he will take these like pack of like chocolate bars with him. With his golfing friends, and they'd like take it in turns to bring the chocolate and the treats.
Oh no!
They'd like, where's my chocolate bars gone for golf? I'm like, oh, I don't know. where could they be? And then sometimes I'd actually go along with it. I'm like, oh, I have no idea. So
that's a great question.
Sometimes you go shopping, you think you bought something, you actually haven't bought it. You just remember thinking it, but
so messed up.
So now the safe, in fact, it's quite funny. I only said to him the other day, I says, don't you think it's strange? I says, those bars of chocolate are actually, they're stacking up now. You've got 4 big packs. You're out, you know, you can actually add those without prying hands from your wine.
Oh my gosh, it's too funny. That is too funny. I'm dying. I love it.
Oh,
I love it.
Joys.
Oh, Claire, this has been great. Absolutely awesome. Yeah, so I mean, I always say this in the episode, but I realized I didn't say it. I will have all the links in the show notes. So if you're interested in signing up for Claire's webinar, but we'll also have the link to Claire's website and the YouTube and everything. But I can't say it enough. Claire has said it. It really is one of those things. Try it, check it out. You know, if you're open-minded, if you feel like you need something, like I said, self-care has become, one more thing to do. It's becoming oppressive. This is a place where you can, sort of get some help, and it's not all on you all the time. And I think it'll be really cool to be at the webinar and see, everyone else that's sort of like, what is this? I need to know. I'm curious. So yeah, but Claire, I'm also looking forward to seeing what the heck my videos look like in the end, because my eyes were closed the whole time. Yeah. So when that comes out, I will definitely be sharing it with the community, because just out of hilarity's sake, but also it's I mean, that was some real deal emotion that I was dealing with. It's, I'm not in any way ashamed to share that, because that is someone that I used to be. I don't cry. I don't, I hold it in, stiff upper lip. Now, not only do I cry on video, and I'm willing to share.
Amazing. What a transformation. That's amazing. That's for me. Fantastic.
All right, Claire, thank you so much.
You're welcome. You take care. Thanks for having me. Thank you.
So are you looking forward to those YouTube videos of me getting my hypnotherapy? I am. I do want to remind you that the links to everything will be in the show notes for this episode. So you can either find that where you're listening to the podcast right now, and the info on the episode, or on stopwritingalone.com itself. I do want to mention that the link that Claire gave me, she was so gracious, is actually an affiliate link. So anybody that does have a service with Claire, there will be a kickback to Stop Writing Alone. And that was really, really sweet of her. So I just wanted to let you know about that, and also let you know that as a consummate professional that Claire is, particularly when it comes to any of her counseling, that affiliate link does not mean that I will know who is getting therapy with Claire. This is a blind thing, and there's no it's just steeped in privacy. So please don't feel like that's something that you have to worry about. So I thank you for tuning in and listening, and we will be talking about writing again next week. In fact, if you did not check out the Envy Rivera YouTube channel, I did get started there last Friday. I did talk about two things. I shared some writing prompts, because this year I am going back into the 52 prompts for 52 weeks. And I did a separate video on the plans rolling out for the 2022 year here on Stop Writing Alone, simply because I know that I've had a late start. I wanted to come out the gate running, and since that did not happen, there is a video describing what's in the works, what's coming, and hopefully I'll be able to update you more next week on all of that. In between, happy writing. Don't forget to check out storyhoarder.substack.com to read my fiction, and that's all. It's great to be back. It does feel really good to be back, and I'm looking forward to this year in ways you can't imagine. Have a wonderful, wonderful week. Thank you for listening. I'll talk to you next week, and happy writing.